And that is timing, folks. Right at 7 o'clock, everything is set up. Fantastic. All right, let's get started. Hi, everybody. Welcome to week 5 of Apple App Development. I'm Michael Doise, and we have Taylor Arndt with us that will be helping out with teaching, and she will be doing office hours. Those will be Saturday again, correct, Taylor?
Yeah, it's gonna be Saturday from probably 10 o'clock to 3. It's what we've been doing the last couple weeks, and it seemed to work out very good. The weekday office hours that I've tried to do, excuse me, evening, I guess the proper way to say it, have not been getting very good attendance. So honestly, the Saturdays have been working out the best. So that's what we're gonna continue to do.
And that's Central Time. So,
That
yeah.
is correct.
Okay. So, and we also have Becky Knob with us again doing hosting. So, hi, Becky. And
Hello.
glad to have you back with us. And so let's get started. We started off last week. We worked with a good amount of Swift, right? We got that going, and we worked on print statements. We did some variables. We worked on all of those things, and there was one variable type that I totally missed, and we will fix that first thing today. But I want to find out, does anybody have any questions before we get started? Welcome.
All right, Michael. I am looking at the participants pane and I'm not seeing anything at the moment.
Any questions about Swift?
No hands are raised.
Or what we've covered so far, at least.
Michael, I think people were having trouble in office hours and other places. I think you should address like how to turn in assignments when you get a chance.
Sure. So, Taylor, do you want to talk about that since you have completed that process?
Yeah, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna if you're on like an iPad or a Mac, I'm just talking from being a Mac, so I'm not sure about iPad. But what I had to do is when I'm done with the Swift Playground, I had to zip it up, like compress it, and then I uploaded it to Google Classroom. So in Google Classroom, it will say like add work or add or create. I hit upload from my computer, I select the playground, and then I hit turn in, and then it will turn into the instructor.
The other thing that you can do, if it makes it easier, is um, copy the code out of your playground that you create, put it in a Swift or a text file, and upload that if that would make things easier.
Yeah, but that's how you do it. I just wanted to address that because, in case people were confused.
I'm sorry to ask, but Taylor, could you go over that one more time? That was
Yeah,
I didn't catch all that.
that's okay. So first I zip the playground, right? So I zip, just compress it. And then I go ahead and I go to classroom, I find the assignment, and then I find add or create or something to that effect. It's just a button, so I click on the assignment details. And then I find the add or create, right? And I select like from my computer or upload or something like that. And then I upload that zip, and then finally I hit turn in, and that will turn in the assignment.
All right. Excellent. So,
All right, Michael. You also do have a chat, but I do believe you probably don't want me to read this one out, so you may want to just look at this yourself.
yep, I am looking at it right now.
Okay. I just wanted to let you know it existed.
All right. No need to apologize. Everything is good. Guys, remember that I encourage everybody to take this with us. That way, you can ask questions and things like that. But sometimes things happen, right? This is a take at your own pace course. The goal of this course is the content is there forever if you need it. Okay, so don't if you do run behind or things like that, don't worry about it. Just take your time. The goal is to learn this stuff, and even when the course is over, I'll still be answering questions. We'll probably have other office hours. The other thing too to keep in mind, I plan to run this once a year. Okay, so there will be other opportunities, and honestly, every year they change things. So the way Swift worked last year, believe it or not, is completely different from how Swift works this year. And we will get to that eventually. And it's called concurrency. And they made it a lot easier than what it was last year. So this would have looked very different if I would have taught this last year. Okay. So yeah, don't sweat it. It's no big deal. All right. So all right, let's start into some new material. Unless anybody has any other questions, I don't see anything up right now. But, you know, that could always change. I'm really excited for what we have done with the class. I'll go ahead.
As of right now, there are no hands up. No.
Okay.
So just giving you a heads up to help you out there.
Awesome. All right. So I've got a new playground window open up under conditionals. And, you know, honestly, this kind of goes with conditionals. So I'm kind of glad we're talking about it today. So let me share my screen. Looks like I always try to have a backup recording and I always forget to start the local one. But that's okay because we're streaming to YouTube, so we have that good to go. All right. Okay. So I have my playground open, and the first thing we're going to talk about today is one of the things that you do a lot in programming is you check to see if something is true or not. And to do that, we have a specific variable type. They are called Booleans. And they basically hold one of two values, true or false. It's the same thing that computers in binary know, yes or no, things like that. Okay. So, for example, I could create two types of Boolean values. I could create a constant Boolean. So I could say, I don't know a good example, but let's just do this. So I'm going to write a comment, and we're going to do / space conditionals, new line, and I'm going to put let constant bool, which will be a, and remember we use camel case in Swift, so we're going to use let constant bool with a capital B, lowercase c, space equals true. And unlike Python, we use a lowercase t. I know some of you Python developers were probably thinking the capital T, but it is a lowercase t and a lowercase f in Swift. Okay. So, we now have created a variable that holds the value of true. But remember, if I then say constant bool equals not two equals, equals false, what am I going to get? I'm going to get an error because I tried to change the value. But if I go back up to line 3 and I changed, if I change that to var, then it would work because we have, we discussed last time that var is for mutable or changeable variables, and let is for immutable or constant variables, right? So what I can do is I can say this is more useful. I could say, well, var first run equals true. Okay. So in other words, this variable is true because this is the first time we've run the program. So then I could do print left parentheses double quote welcome to onboarding double quote or exclamation mark double quote right parentheses. So let's just say that was our onboarding flow. Yeah, of course it would never be that short, but let's just for grin say that. So then I could say first run equals false because we've gone through the onboarding process. Okay. So then if we store the value of first run to storage and we loaded that up every time, then we could accurately measure if the program has been ran on the computer before, and that's how we can adequately determine if the program has been ran before and if to show the onboarding. Now, what I might do also, I may go in and show the onboarding again, even though the user has already seen it before because I've made changes and I want them to see the new onboarding flow. So then I could forcibly go in and say onboarding is or first run is true. We don't need a new variable. We just want them to see the onboarding flow again. So already we haven't even built a graphical application yet. Already you're seeing concepts that are used to build a full application. Okay. So that is the very basics of what a Boolean variable can do. I can store the values are true and false. Where is this useful in Swift development, in Swift UI? Well, I'm not going to explain all this to you yet, but we have what are called state variables. And so I can show a modal dialog, I could show a share sheet based on if a variable is true or false. So I can say share sheet is showing and it's a Boolean, and I could say true. If it's not showing, then it's false. If it is showing, it's true. And Swift UI knows that. and you can tell it to toggle, and that will toggle the appearance. Let's see. I don't know if it has to be a state variable to toggle it. Let's see. First run dot. Yes, that does work. First run dot toggle. So what that function does is, if the variable is false, it will change it to true. If it's true, it will change it to false. Now, how does it know this? Well, I could have either done, it knows it because we set it to true originally. It knows the variable is a Boolean. But if I didn't put equals true, I could have put back on line 4 where we have var first run equals true. I could put var first run colon space B, capital B, OOL for Boolean equals true. So we strongly type that variable like we talked about last time, right? Okay. So let's start this off. Does anybody have any questions about what we've talked about so far?
All right, Michael. As of right now, I am not finding any hands that are up. I'll give it a minute.
Any questions about Booleans? We will be using those throughout the class, so just get ready. And in fact, we'll probably use, we'll use them a lot today. We might even use first run again. We'll see. So I'm not going to get rid of that code, but it will be there in the conditionals lecture. So,
Oh, we have a hand.
all
Raymond
right,
has his hand up. Nice.
go ahead.
Okay, there we go. Can you guys hear me now? Sorry about that.
Yes. Yep.
Quick question. So for the variable, it doesn't necessarily have to be because obviously I know there's the variable which is like because in the last one you said var or v, and then you put the Boolean in there. It doesn't necessarily have to be constant.
Nope, it doesn't have to be. In fact, you can't change a constant. So,
Oh yeah, that's
I
right.
feel like most Booleans work better as var instead of let. So they work better as mutable compared to being constants.
Got that. That makes sense. Can you use so you can't use constants as
Well, you can.
okay,
It's just,
but
you're basically just saying it's static. So if you set that to false once, then it's going to be false.
right. Okay.
But let me give an example of where that might be useful. Say you're doing testing and you want specific things to only work a certain way, and you don't want your code to change that variable later on. Then you can have that variable be a constant so nothing can change it, or else it'll crash. Now, another thing about Swift, I will tell you guys. Swift is if it's going to break, most of the time it'll break at compile time, not runtime. So, like we saw, instead of it breaking whenever we ran the code, whenever it was able to run, that actually, when we tried to assign a variable, a new value, even though it was a constant and it crashed, that happens at compile time. It will not happen when you run the app. Python and others will give you a stack trace. Swift will do it at compile time, and the reason is because of how Swift is created. it it will die before the code can run, so that you can debug without having to wait. Now there are a few exceptions to that. So if I, for example, was trying to get and this isn't just for Booleans, this is for anything. If I tried to assign something to a let variable or a constant later on through code that was pulled from the internet, it would not work. Now, come to think of it, I don't know that the compiler would even let you do that, because it would see that you're trying to assign a value to a constant, and it would complain about that even if the value was not known yet. So I think that you have that safety net no matter what you're doing. That is one of the things I really like about Swift, is it really tries to get as many potential errors and showstoppers done before you even can run your app, compared to JavaScript and Python, where everything happens at runtime. It saves on the debug time. Okay. I have a feeling this is going to be another night where I lose my voice. So those are Booleans. We use Booleans a lot in our code, more so than we usually think. Okay, now let's move on to our next thing here. We're going to review some of what we talked about with dictionaries. I'm going to add a comment up here above the Boolean stuff called Booleans, just for archival purposes in our text. So that just knocks everything down an extra line. I'm going, after the last line, I'm going to make a new line where after it says first run.toggle, parentheses. I'm going to make a new line after that that's empty, which should be line 9. Then line 10, I'm going to start with another comment, and that is going to be / space array review. Okay. So if you remember, we could create an array by doing var space sum array with a capital A in array space equals left bracket, and then I'm going to do, this time I'm going to do integers, so 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5 right bracket. Okay, and that's totally valid. And why is that? Well, those are all integers. Integers are fully allowed in Swift. Okay, so then I could do something like print left parentheses double quote the number. So we have print left parentheses double quote the number at position 5, or no, let's do 3, is / left parentheses sum array left bracket 2, because That is the third position. We have 0 at which is position 1. Position 2 is 1. Position 3 is 2. So then we have the right bracket. Let's put a period. Oh, no. Right parentheses, period. Then we have our double quote in our right parentheses. And there we go. So our output, if you're following along, will be the number at position 3 is 3. Because even though we said position 2, we start at 0 in our array, right? Okay. So what happens if I want to add to our array? So let's do sum array. Well, let's actually try this. We can change a value too. So let's do sum array. And then we could do left bracket 3, right bracket, equals, let's put a huge number and put 200. Okay. And now we could do print, left parentheses, double quote, the new value at position 4 is backslash left parentheses sum array left bracket let's see 3. Sometimes even I get the numbers mixed up in my head. Right bracket, right parentheses, period, double quote, right parentheses. So our print statement now in our output says the new value at position 4 is 200. Okay. I'm going to do 2 more examples on arrays. We're going to do,
Michael,
yes,
you can also do the dot append. Is that right?
I was getting to that. Yes.
I'm sorry. I want to make sure you're able to remember that.
Yep. So we can add to an array with what Taylor just mentioned. So we can do sum array dot append left bracket. No, that's left parentheses.
The parenthesis, yep.
Yep. And then we're gonna put let's do another big number, 500.
There you go.
And then a right parentheses. Because, and the reason why that is the parentheses on append are it's a function. We'll talk about functions next time, but print is a function, right? So we are using, just like toggle is a function on, or a method on Booleans. Append is a method on arrays. All right. So now we need to know, we can do print, left parentheses, double quote, the full set of numbers in some array are backslash left parentheses some array, right parentheses, period, double quote, right parentheses, and that should show all of our numbers, and it does. So our last print statement is the full set of numbers in some array are 1, 2, 3, 200, 5, 500. And there's other variables as or things that we can do as well. So we can do print left parentheses double quote the number of elements. If I could type elements right. And some array is backslash left parentheses some array dot count. Right parentheses, period, double quote, right parentheses. Okay. So what that gives us is the number of elements in some array is 6. Because we have 1, 2, 3, that's 3 of them. 200, that's 4. 5 is 5, and then 500 is 6. So we've got 6 elements. Why is that useful? Well, when we had UIKit, when we made a list, we had to get the full number of items that would be in the list and tell UIKit that. We had to give it a length so it could allocate that. We don't have to do that anymore with SwiftUI, which is wonderful. But it was necessary. So that is where we used it a lot in UIKit. Okay. There's also another command that we can use for arrays, and that is I believe insert. So we're going to do some array capital A R A Y dot insert. No, I don't know that it's.
Michael, you can't do that for arrays.
You cannot insert into arrays.
It's only the append method. You can insert into other structures, but you cannot insert into arrays.
Interesting. So that is different from other languages.
Yep, it is. And it caught me off guard when I first learned that. There's also other methods for arrays, like if you have an array of strings, you can do like that sorted where it can like put it in alphabetical order.
Yes. But you can also remove.
You can.
So let's do, and this kind of comes back to how Apple does things. So we're going to do some array dot remove left parentheses, and this is one of their weird argument types. Usually most languages you have a left parentheses and then the number, which is what we've been seeing earlier. But this one uses an argument of at. So you have to do at colon space. Let's do position 2. Okay. So now we're going to do the number. We're going to do the print the number again. And so we're going to print the array just like we did. Print left parentheses double quote. The updated array is backslash parentheses some array. Right parentheses period double quote right parentheses. And we're going to do print left parentheses double quote. The new count is backslash parentheses some array dot count. Now, I'm going to ask another question, folks. Why does dot count I'm just doing the period double quote right parentheses. Why does dot count not have parentheses? Well, that is a instance variable. It's a property. We'll get into object-oriented programming, but that's what that is. So dot toggle, dot insert, dot append, dot remove. Those are methods or functions on that object, on that array. Okay. So again, We could also do sort. We can do those things on strings, but this is one way where we can use arrays, and there's a lot more to that. So that's what we're going to show here in the class. I mainly did integers tonight because we're going to do some loops within those things with those. Okay. All right. I feel like this is a good point to stop for questions. So does anybody have any questions?
All right, so we have a couple hands. We have Jim and Melissa.
Jim.
Okay, so I'm all kinds of confused about arrays. I'm not sure if I fell asleep last week or what. Are you saying that you cannot index into an array?
You can index an array. You just can't insert at an index point in an array.
So you can index for reading, but not for but not for storing.
Correct. No, well, you can store by using the you could change an index at an array. You can store a new value in it, but you cannot insert in that array at a certain point.
So if I wanted to insert, I would have to say array sum 5 equals array sum 4, array sum 4 equals array sum 3, array sum 3 equals array sum 2, and array sum 2 equals my new value. I'd have to go through all of that.
I'm
really surprised.
Michael, I thought you can append at an index. You could do like, my array dot append left bracket 1.
Can you?
I'm pretty sure you can. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 90% sure. I know. I'm pretty sure you can append at an index.
Okay. All right. So that would be okay. So that seems like a more reasonable. I can play around with that. I'm sort of wondering about that. And then I had a sort of a general what's the name of this Xcode question, which is there a way to get help on a data type? Like, can I see all the functions that a data type supports? Like for arrays, it'd be things like count and insert and stuff like that. Is there a way to get a help index of it for a data type?
I know there is. I have not used that personally, but I know that there is a. I do know if you bring up the inspector, like we talked about, and if you have something highlighted, or if you bring up the inspector on that right side, that will bring up. It can bring up help for that as well.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Sure thing. And I am looking this up because I am interested as well.
All right. Well, when you're ready, you have
Go
two
ahead.
more hands. So are you ready?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. So Melissa and then Mark.
Okay, so when you first started doing your arrays, you had the 0 in the first position.
Make some speech.
It's not me, I promise. But and then when you made the changes and put the dot count, you had put the 200 in, etc. And then you weren't counting the 0 anymore. Was the 0 still there, or does it go away when you start using the dot count and moving things around? I know it sounds weird, like a weird question, but
No, for sure. So 0 is the first index. So
Okay.
we count our indexes at 0, but when we use like the left bracket,
yeah,
that references them at 0. So if I want to
Okay.
pull, like say I added 1, 2, 3, 4 right to the array.
yeah,
If I wanted to pull 1, I'd have to. If I wanted to get the value 1, I would use index 0.
right. And then when you put all those other numbers in, the 200, the 500, etc., the number 1 position is still the index 0, right? Or not? That's where I'm confused.
Can you say that again?
So remember when you put all those numbers, the
Uh-huh.
1, 2, 3, and 200 and
Mm-hmm.
500, and so is the 0 still in this count, or
Yeah,
is
it's there because one is
the
when we see
position
1,
number
2, 3,
2?
we're starting at 0.
Right.
So it counts at 0 as an index.
Okay.
It's a little confusing just because if you think about the computer starts at 0,
Right. Okay.
we count from 1.
Right.
But
Right.
when we're referencing things from the array, we start at 0.
Okay. Okay. I think I got it now. Thanks. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
All
Any other
right,
questions?
and then Mark, and then you've got some chats.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if you could put the information on your screen in the notes
Oh,
for
absolutely.
next week. Thank you.
Yep. We try to always put the notes from the code from last time in there, and we'll do the same. All right.
All right, and then you've got some chats. So, your chats are from Fenton, and his first one was similar to a similar question to what Jim had first asked, and then he said, like sum array dot remove all is a possible method. So he wants
Yes,
to know
I
if that's a
believe
possible method.
I think remove all is a possible method. So if we do, we're in a playground, so this will be destructive. Sum array dot remove. Yes, that is a method because it is telling me that we can do that, and I'm not going to finish it. Because that will remove our previews. But yes, that is a method that we can use. Okay. And I'm even
All right.
asking,
That's it.
Oh, go ahead.
That's all of your chats
Okay.
and your hands.
I'm even asking, ChatGPT about the insert, and that does not appear to be a thing.
Actually, Michael, I put something in the chat. I was wrong about doing the append, but you can do some kind of insert at index. I put a list, I think, in chat that maybe should work.
Let's take a look, because I feel like this is a fundamental thing that is missing here. It should be able to.
Would you like me to read that to you, Michael?
No,
or
I'm
you good?
going to grab it and see about copying it into the source code,
Okay, great.
and we shall see what we can do. Who's going to get the chat to come up? All right, so if it takes too long, I will just. I got the chat. Okay. So it has strings, friends.insert. So I tried insert. It does not even come up in the completion list. So if I do sum array dot insert, oh, it is. Insert new element at. Okay. So yes, Taylor, that is incorrect. The insert command is a thing.
Okay, yeah, and I tried the code in chat does actually work, so I was stand corrected.
Yep. So I could do sum array dot insert parentheses the new element comma at colon 2. So that's going to insert the value of 1000 at position 2. That does work, Jim. So that is good. When I tried to type it before, it was not coming up with code completion for that. So that's why I was concerned that wasn't going to work. So let's do print left parentheses double quote. The new array is backslash parentheses some array. If I can type, which I apparently can't today. Right parentheses, period, double quote, right parentheses. Okay, now. So we have the new array is 1, comma 2, comma 1000, comma 200, comma 5, comma 500. That's because we inserted it at position 2. So position 0 is still 1, position 1 is still 2, and position 3 is, well, position 0 is 1, position 1 is 2. That's not confusing at all. Position 3 is, oh, I keep saying it wrong. Position 0 is 1, position 1 is 2, position 2 is 1000. There we go. That's not confusing at all. All right. So that's arrays, folks.
I'm sorry, I put my hand down and put it back up, but I was wondering, it also looks like you cannot use indices to enlarge an array. So if you declare an array and assign it values 1 and 2, you cannot then say array sub 2 equals 3.
Right.
You cannot use indices to increase the size of an array. You have to go back and use insert or something to do that.
You have to use insert or append.
So these seem like very limited. They're designed to be collections rather than arrays. Looks like.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I'm done.
That is the limit of how they can do that. But let's see. So let's do some array left bracket. So what was our length? What was our let's compute our count. Okay. So let's do print left parentheses double quote. The size of the array is backslash parentheses some array dot count. Okay, so we know our count is 6. So if we do some array, so I'm guessing if we do 7 or 6, that should be.
Both of those will fail.
Yep, it fails. And if we even do, I'm sure if we do 7, that's going to fail as well. Because that index is not found. We've never created it with an insert or append. So that does not work.
So Michael, can I throw a curveball at you? I expect you might not know the answer. Is there any way to support sparse arrays?
That I do not know.
Cool, thanks.
All right. All right. So that is everything that we know on arrays. Let's talk a little bit more about dictionaries. So now we're on line 25. So / space dictionaries. Again, I'm not going to cover as much as we did on arrays. I feel like arrays are very important, and we'll do more with dictionaries as we go. So again, we can have our people equals left bracket person 1. Oops, I need to put quotes around that. Left bracket double quote person 1. double quote, colon, space, double quote, Michael, double quote, comma. So we're basically making we can have a dictionary with multiple key value pairs, right? And so double quote, person, 2, double quote, colon, space, double quote, Taylor, double quote. So we're storing multiple key value pairs. And then I can then reference that by doing print. The name of the first person is backslash parentheses people left bracket double quote person 1. And I'm using an escape on this time to force unwrap it, which is an optional, which is a thing that you can do. And we will talk more about that at another time, but you will get back the name of the first person is Michael. Okay. So I can also do the same thing with print, left parentheses, double quote, both people listed in the dictionary are backslash parentheses people, no, backslash parentheses people dot or parentheses. Actually, I think you might be able to use dot notation here. I know in some languages you can, but I don't think you can in Swift. You cannot. So backslash people left bracket double quote person 1 double quote right bracket space, no, right parentheses, space, and actually before I do that, let's make sure to put that exclamation mark at the end of the parentheses. I think that's how we did above. No, after the right bracket, before the parentheses. So we have backslash, parentheses, people, left bracket, double quote, person 1, double quote, right bracket, exclamation point to force unwrap that. Then a right parentheses, space, and backslash, parentheses, people, left bracket, double quote, person 2. And then we're going to do a double quote, right bracket, exclamation mark, right parentheses, period, double quote, right parentheses. So that's a long print statement with 2 variables that are dictionaries. Our output then is both people listed in the dictionary are Michael and Taylor, properly written. Okay. If you use an exclamation mark as we're doing here, just be careful because there are some gotchas with that. If you use an exclamation mark and you load content dynamically, if it doesn't have content, you use an exclamation mark, it will completely crash your app. That is a prelude to optionals. Right now we can use them because we know what the values are. We are hard coding our values. Okay. So that's an example of how we're using dictionaries. Sometimes dictionaries are very similar to how JSON data works. So if you're familiar with that, then that works very similarly. We'll go more into dictionaries later, but I just wanted to review that real quick before we move on. Any questions?
All right. It looks like Melissa's hand is up and Fenton's hand is up. So you have those two hands.
Melissa.
Unless she forgot to put it down from last time. I'm not sure.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I was muted. My apologies.
No problem.
I didn't have a question, but since I'm here, I will ask a question. So you said the exclamation mark is only to be used with hard coding stuff, not something that the values might change in.
Something that, so if you use an exclamation mark, that basically tells Swift this cannot be empty. If it is
Okay.
empty, the
Okay.
app will crash and burn, and
I got you. Okay.
the whole app will close.
Okay. Thanks. Just needed some clarification on that.
Yeah, we're gonna have a whole class day dedicated to that.
Isn't there a default where you can do like a default value, right?
Yes,
Isn't
but we're not going to cover that today.
there... Okay, I just wanted to make sure because, like, yeah, you can set a default. So,
All right. And the other person is Fenton, who had his hand up.
Clinton.
Yeah, since we have, I heard you saying the exclamation mark thing, you have a whole class dedicated for that. I might not then ask a whole lot of questions. This is the first time I've seen an exclamation mark. I thought it was put in there because you wanted to print an exclamation mark, but that doesn't sound like that's the case because the result, it's not printed with an exclamation mark.
Correct.
The way to tell that it's not a text exclamation mark is that by knowing that it's not within the double quote
So
of a
very
text.
close. So if you look at where the exclamation mark is, you have a backslash, a parentheses, people, left bracket, then the key in the quotes, the right bracket, and then it's right after the key name, after the brackets. So the exclamation mark is still within the variable scope, like the variable like that you're writing. So it is part of the declaring or putting the variable that the content that you're looking for.
Yeah, and I noticed that as you were typing, it wanted to put an exclamation mark there for the, I call it type ahead, but whatever.
Yeah, the completion.
Yep. Completion. Yep. So you were saying earlier on about crashing. So does it mean that Swift is trying to prevent you from crashing by having an exclamation mark there?
No, in fact, the only reason why it's the completions are using an exclamation mark is that it knows that we have a hard-coded value there, right? So if I were to let's see if we can. So let me show an example of this. Let's see. This is an example. So I'm going to go up here back to line 25. I'm going to make a new line after a comment. And I'm going to put var empty variable colon string. So I've said that it's a string. But I haven't assigned it a value. I've declared a variable, but I have not assigned a value. And you can do that. So then over here, when I have my dictionary, where I have person 1 is Michael and person 2 is Taylor, I'm going to remove double quote Taylor double quote, and I'm going to put empty variable. Now, see, Swift won't even let me do it, but basically I should have put an empty string. Yeah, it was. So basically what would happen on the internet, right, is this would be valid because I could say I want a string, and then I'm going to load the content dynamically, right? So the compiler will allow it, but because it knows that the string is empty, it's not going to allow us to even try to fake this scenario. But I tried to basically make a empty. Can I do that equals nil? No. I'm trying to trick the compiler here, folks.
Maybe null, N-U-L?
No, it's NIL. But I basically had to say var empty variable colon string question mark, which says that this can be empty, equals nil, which is empty. Okay. So then now I have var people equals double quote person one, or bracket double quote person one, colon double quote Michael double quote comma double quote person two double quote colon empty variable, which is now allowed. Okay. Because we just said that that's allowed. So now we would get, and I'm getting warnings about this because it's saying that string interpolation produces a debug description for an optional. Yeah. So it's giving me warnings, and it will crash. So it's saying optional Michael and nil. It should. Yeah, it's not doing it right, but if it were in an app, it would totally crash this. Okay, so I'm going to set this back to the way it was, but yes, this is kind of how optionals work. They are not pretty, or they have the potential to not be pretty. Okay, now our code should be back to working perfectly. And again, we will be going over optionals in further detail in another class.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
So far, no other hands are up.
Okay. I'm going to mute for just a second, take a quick break to get something to drink, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. So let's talk about if statements. All right. We're going to do, now we're on line 30. We're going to write / space if conditions. Okay, an if statement is a way to check if something is true or not, and then do something based on if it is true. Okay, So it's very simple. Let's say our age is 42. So we're going to say let space age space equals 42. Swift already knows that that's an integer because of the way that the variable, the number is written. So now we can do checks to see if something is correct or not. So we can do this. We can say if space age space equals as a logical is equals to check space 42, and then I always do a space and a left brace. You don't have to if it's a one-liner, but I do. It's just good form to make it readable. So if space age space equals space 42 space left brace, and then a new line, and Xcode will automatically put your right brace in below the line you're on, and it automatically indents. Make it a habit, especially if you're using a screen reader, because it automatically does your indent if you do a new line. Just get into the good habits. Let your auto indent do the work for you. Okay. Print left parentheses double quote, you are the same age as me, exclamation mark, double quote, right parentheses. So we have let age equals 42. If age equals 42, left brace, print that, and then we have a right brace. Now, how is this different from other if statements? Well, in a lot of languages, you have to put your condition in parentheses. In Swift, that is not the case here, if you noticed. Okay. What if I want to say something if your age is not 42? Well, I could go to this right brace. I could go directly to the right of it. We're on line 34 if you're keeping up. And I could put a space and write else, space, left brace, new line. Remember your new line after you put your left brace. You get indents. Let the language work for you. Print, left parentheses, double quote, you are a different age from me, period, double quote, right parentheses. Now, our output still says you're the same age as me. Okay. Now, what if I go over here to where it says let age equals 42 and I change age to be 44? And I look at my code. You are a different age than me now shows up. Why? It's because the condition is not true. Okay? Now, that is one example of an if statement. Okay? So there are several examples of several ways you can use an if statement. We've used one here. We are checking if it's equal to. Okay? Now, what we can also do is we can use a statement called else if. So I'm going to go make a new line after or before my first right brace. So we're going to make a new line at line 34 again, and we're going to put another right brace. We're going to write else if age is less than space 42 space left brace, new line. And then we're gonna, and it even recognizes that below that, it did not used to do this. It recognized below that there's another right brace, so it didn't even add one, so it automatically did the work for us. So now I could put print left parentheses double quote You are younger than me. So let's now go up here to let age equals 44. Let's change it to 32. So now we're getting you are younger than me. So we have if age equals 42, else if age is less than 42, and anything else, we're just going to put that. So we could change our last one to, instead of you are a different age than me, we could just put you're older than me. You are older than me. Okay, so we have if, else if, and else. Okay, so this is just one example. We can do several different variants. We just use equals equals. We can use less than sign or less than equals. So to say if it's less than or equals to that, greater than or equal to that. We can use we have less than, equal to, greater than, equals to. Those are the main ones you're going to see a lot. We can also come back up here and do I'm going to make another conditional on line 40, and I'm going to say if what do we call that first variable up here? If first run space left brace. Okay, so we could write if first run, which is a shorthand for saying if first run space equals space true. Okay, but in Swift you don't have to write that whole thing out. I could write if first run equals true, or I could just write if first run, because we're assuming if you're checking the status of a variable that's a Boolean, you're checking if it's true. So if first run, 2 words. Pretty neat, isn't it? You can say if first run, or I can also do what's called a logical not, and I could say if exclamation mark first run. So that will say if the app is, if it's not the first time it's ran. So we could have if first run, or if not first run. So exclamation mark means not in this context. Exclamation mark can mean optional, like force unwrapped, or for optionals, or it could be a logical not in Swift. Okay, so I could say if first run. We could again say print left parentheses double quote, welcome to the app, double quote, right parentheses. Go down to your next line with your right brace, put a space after it, write else, else space left brace, new line, print, left parentheses, double quote. We can see that you've run the app before. Okay? So these are some examples of how to use if conditions in Swift. I'm going to show another example of this. I'm going to create 2 strings. We're going to be on line 46 here, and I'm going to put var first person equals double quote Michael double quote var second person. I think I missed a capital P. I did. Equals double quote Taylor double quote. And now what I can do is I could say we can see if all of the teachers of the class are here. If left parentheses, no, sorry. If person, I'm trying to remember, if I'm doing this in Swift, do I need to use parentheses to separate these? I think it doesn't matter, but we're going to try it. If person 1 equals double quote Michael, right parentheses, and then I could do a double and, oops, double quote, right parentheses, and parentheses person 2 equals double quote Taylor, double quote right parentheses left brace. So it does not like that format. So I'm thinking that we do not need the parentheses. Let's see. Or no, I got the wrong variables. So it's first person and second person. And I believe I do need to use, let's see. Okay, so you don't need the parentheses. That's very nice. So you can use if space first person space equals space double quote Michael, double quote, space double and, that's a logical and. So and, so two and signs, second person equals double quote Taylor double quote, space left brace. Print left parentheses double quote. All of the teachers are here, period. We can start class, period. Double quote, right parentheses. So our output in our playground should now say, all of the teachers are here. We can start class. So then we can do, after our right brace, again, we can do else, space, left brace, new line, print, left parentheses, double quote, not all of the teachers are here, comma, we have to wait, period. Double quote, right parentheses. And I can then do, I can change Taylor to none, just in the string. We just change her name. And because we don't have both conditions being true, then we can't start the class, right? Because both teachers are not here. Okay. So we could do one more thing. Let's do what we did before. Let's go to line 51, make a new line at the beginning of our right brace. We're going to put another right brace, and we're going to put a space, and we're going to type else if what is it, first person space equals double quote Michael, double quote, and we're going to use a space and then two of the double the bars, the shift backslash, double bar, which means logical or. Second person equals double quote Taylor, double quote, space left brace, we're going to put print, left parentheses, double quote, at least one of the teachers are here. We can start reviewing. Period, double quote, right parentheses. So we will get that because actually we get an error. I think I had a typo. I think I wrote the variable wrong. Oops. Let's see what happens. Okay. At least one of the teachers are here. We can start reviewing because the variable for Michael is there. Now, what happens if I set it back to Michael and Taylor? Let's see. I thought I set it to none. Let's see. I'm gonna change that back to Taylor. All of the teachers are here. We can start class whenever I set everything back to the way it should be. Because the first condition was true. Both teachers were there. So it stopped executing and it did the first print statement. Now, I think that the way that and Taylor, you're kind of going through some of this other stuff with 100 Days of Swift. So if you have anything to interject here, please do. I believe if statements still have to go through to check all of the conditions in the else ifs. Is that correct? Is that what I?
Yes. Oh, you sorry. I had to figure out where the button was. So basically, the if statements will go and they will check each condition, right, from top to bottom. So they'll be like, okay, are the teachers here? Right. You know, can we begin class? So yeah, it'll check like it'll check the if that's not true, it'll check the else, right? And then it'll check the else if, and then if nothing is true, it will then check the very bottom else condition. The catch-all, as I like to say it.
But I think it does that either way. No matter, even if the first one is true, it still goes through it just to check.
It does, but it will in some instances, like it will actually stop when it finds something true, I believe.
Okay. But the if statements are definitely slower than the next things we'll cover, and that's a switch statement. Okay. Now, we've gone through a good bit with ifs, and that's where we're going to keep ifs for this evening. We'll use them a lot more through the class, but those are some examples of how that works. Let's go ahead and take any questions. And I see, Jim, you have your hand up.
I am confused about what you guys are just talking about with ifs. I would assume that once a true statement is found, it doesn't do any more searching of else's. Can you
I think it does stop at the first one that it's found to be true. I know that if statements in Swift are a much slower way to do conditionals than switches, than a switch.
Well, that's because switches are all looking at constants only. I mean, we haven't gotten there yet, but I don't think otherwise if else structure doesn't make any sense unless it stops looking once it finds a true statement.
Yeah.
And if that's not the case, I'd like to understand.
I'm sure it stops when it finds a true statement. It just is. It's inefficient if you have a lot of else ifs. So
okay.
if you go through a long path of ifs, else ifs, it needs to be broken up, or other methods for conditional logic should probably be used. And believe me, it's very interesting. In Swift UI, you cannot use an if statement to decide how your views will be laid out. And in fact, the error that the compiler will tell you is that it took too long to compile and to refactor your code, basically. And it doesn't tell you why. But typically, it has to do with if statements. And that typically even means if I'm checking if a certain variable is set, just because I'm doing it in a Swift UI view, it will cause errors. So just be careful with your if statements and use your memory wisely on mobile. And it's interesting because languages like Python, they just have if statements from my recollection. Okay. Any other questions?
As of right now, no other hands are up. Sorry about that. Couldn't
I thought
find
we
my
have
book for a minute.
Fenton.
Yes, I got my hands up. Um, so just to follow up with that question, it seems like we are unsure whether it jumps or it doesn't. It stops once the condition is found to be true. Couldn't we just simply put a breakpoint at line 53 and find that out?
I'm sure we could play with that. I have not used them too much in playgrounds to find that out. But I just want to make sure we get through our content and then we can play with that another time.
Sure. There's no limitation of using breakpoints in playground, is there?
No, there's not. I want to
Yeah,
make
that's
sure we
fine.
get through
Yeah,
everything.
I just wonder if there's
No,
that
you can use
people could.
breakpoints in
Oh,
playgrounds.
okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, all of that works. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions on if statements? And remember, guys, you could use all of the, less than, equal to, greater than, equal to. You could use not. You can use and or. All of those things that you're used to using in other languages. The nice thing that I like is you don't have to use the parentheses. You can, if that helps you, but you don't have to. Remember also in Swift, you do not need to use semicolons to terminate a line. You can do that, but you don't have to. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the switch statement. The switch statement, I like to think of it as kind of the same way you think of a switch like on a train track. Let me close a window here. A switch statement lets you match values in patterns. Swift switch must be exhaustive, meaning every possible case must be covered. So if, for example, let's say that you are grading a paper. So let me get to my Xcode here. I have some examples that I'm working off in another file. So I could put let's just do let grade equals double quote C double quote. Okay. So we're going to do switch grade. And I'm going to do a space left brace. And it's going to do what we did before. And we're going to do case. And I think, is it a capital S or a? Just a second. I just want to make sure. So yeah, lowercase. Okay. I don't write these all the time, so switch grade, and then we're going to do case. No, I don't know what's going on here. Okay. Switch grade : I believe is the format. Again, I don't write these too often. No, switch grade left brace. It was still telling me it was wrong. So case space double quote a double quote, and I'm pretty sure our cases, yes, we use a colon for our cases. And switches do some weird things with indentation. It removes a lot of indentation when we create those. And we will do print, left parentheses, double quote, you got an A, double quote, right parentheses. And then we're going to do enter, and we're going to do case space double quote B double quote colon print left parentheses double quote great exclamation mark, you got a B period double quote right parentheses case space double quote C double quote colon new line print left parentheses double quote. That is not the best grade period double quote right parentheses. Case space double quote D double quote colon new line print left parentheses double quote. That could be much better period double quote right parentheses case space double quote F double quote colon print left parentheses double quote you failed exclamation mark double quote right parentheses. Then those are all of our cases, but we also need to do default, I believe, default colon, and for our default value we can do invalid grade. Okay. Print left parentheses double quote invalid grade double quote right parentheses. So think about it as switching on a track. It is a much faster way to do a conditional using a switch. So it does not, it just can look at through these much faster and pick the correct it can pick the best value. We have a C for let grade equals double quote C. So it automatically picks that is not the best grade. So if I change let grade equals A, then it'll automatically jump to that. Okay, so you got an A is what it automatically comes up with. So this is another way of doing a conditional where we use we exhaust the number of values that we can pick from this list. Okay. Any questions about a switch statement?
All right, well, I'm checking on the list, and as of right now, I don't see any hands.
I'll give you an example of how this can be used in real world terms. We can listen for events on the iOS devices. So when we started out, we had what were called remote control events, and that was where we would look for items from the earpods, like the play, pause, and double press. And so we could do what was called begin listening for remote controlled events. And we use a switch statement to determine which event was fired and run it instead of having to go through the if statement every single time. And so that was a good example of how we can do that. Okay. Any questions before we move on?
Still not seeing any questions, and I am at the top of the list this time.
All right. Okay. We're going to go ahead and talk about loops. We're going to start in with these 4 in loops. So we can make a very quick loop by doing something very easy. Okay. So I'm going to go down here to the bottom, and I'm going to do / on its own line space 4 in loops. Okay. And I'm going to write for space number space in 1 period 5 space left brace. And I'm going to print left parentheses, double quote, the number is / parentheses number. Right parentheses, double quote, period. Nope. I'm wrong. Number, right parentheses, period, double quote, right parentheses. Okay. So what that's going to do is it's going to say the number is 1, the number is 2, the number is 3, the number is 4, the number is 5. So we basically just made a small for statement, and I feel like it's very easy to read these 4 loops. You don't even have to declare the variable. You just say for number in your list, your range. And I could change that to 100 if I wanted to. Now, I could also do this. Okay. I could say, let's do var. Let people equals, and we're going to create an array, and we're going to do double quote, left bracket, double quote, Michael, double quote, comma, double quote, Taylor, double quote, comma, space, double quote, Becky, let's see, double quote, and right bracket. We're just going to have 3 people in this array. And so now we're going to say for person in people space left brace. And what we're going to do next, inside of the code block, we're going to say we're going to print left parentheses, double quote, hello, / left parentheses, person, right parentheses, So we have hello, backslash left parentheses person, right parentheses, exclamation mark, and that is a type of exclamation mark because it's outside the parentheses. And then we have a double quote, another right parentheses, and that's it. So our output for that is going to be an error because we already have a variable called people. From what I could tell, let's see. And for people. Yep, we already have an array or variable called people. So let's call this one new people, just for grins. So var person in new people. So we're just changing those variable names out. And so it likes that now. Hello, Michael. Hello, Taylor. Hello, Becky. Are all on separate lines because we just iterated through those names. Okay. So we have for person in new people. And that works because it's an array. Print parentheses, double quote, hello, backslash parentheses, person, right parentheses, exclamation mark, double quote, right parentheses. And that prints the whole, that runs that loop, okay? So these are two good examples of doing for loops. We will use them some more as the class goes on, okay? Do we have any questions about the for loops that we've gone over?
At the moment, there are no hands raised.
Okay. If you have any questions, feel free. Okay. So we can also do while loops. Okay. So let's do this. And I think we may stop at while loops because we're getting close to time and we've gone through a lot of things today. Okay, I'm going to press enter twice after my for loop. This should put us on line 82. We've gone through a lot of code today, folks. / space while loops. New line. So we can do while a condition is true, continue the loop. So let's do var countdown equals through 10. Okay. So then we can do while countdown is greater than 0, space left brace. And then we could do print left parentheses, double quote. And let's see. How do we want to write that? We can do, come on, Xcode. We can do print left parentheses double quote countdown is t minus backslash left parentheses. Oh, I put a minus backslash left parentheses t minus backslash left parentheses countdown right parentheses period double quote right parentheses. Now this is not counting in seconds, so just so you know, it's just counting as the loop runs. Okay. Then we're going to go to the next line and we're going to put countdown minus equals 1 to decrement the countdown. And then outside of our loop, we're going to put print left parentheses double quote countdown is now at backslash parentheses countdown right parentheses period double quote right parentheses. So what we're expecting to see is the countdown be at 0 after the loop. So our loop starts. We have countdown is t minus 10, t minus 9, t minus 8, t minus 7. You know, kind of like the, you know, space shuttle or whatever blasting off. And then at the end, countdown is now at 0. Okay, so that is an example of a while loop. So while condition, do a thing, and then print the variable. Now, this is an example of scope. So if I put countdown inside of the while loop, so let's do that. I'm going to select var countdown equals 10. Well, for one thing, this wouldn't work if I put it inside because the variable doesn't exist. So if I move that in there, the while loop wouldn't work, and the variable has to be outside of the scope of what we're working on for the condition to even work. So that is an example of a while loop in Swift. One thing that we did not cover, I want to get to very quickly. There is also a repeat, but we'll get to that another time. And I want to get to one last conditional thing that we did not cover, and that is called the ternary operator. And so I'm going to do an example of this. We're going to do a we're going to use the ternary operator. It's like using an if statement on 1 or 2 lines. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Let's get this code here. I'm working off of a handout, so I'm just kind of going back and forth between them. So this is called the ternary operator. And so we're going to make another 2 slashes, ternary operator. And we're going to put let age equals 20. Okay, so we're creating an integer of 8. We're going to call this one voting age equals 20. So let voting age equals 20. So we're going to put now, let's see. We're going to write let can vote. So can vote is the variable that we're going to use. equals age greater than or equal to 18. So we have age greater than or equal to 18. Question mark, and that's the ternary operator. Question mark, no quote, yes, you can vote. Exclamation mark, double quote, space, and then we're going to use a colon, double quote, you are too young to vote, period, double quote. And apparently I wrote that incorrectly. Let's see. Because it is not liking something in my... Oh, I put an equals, then a greater than or equals to. So that was my error there. And then let's see. I think I may have my... Oh, let can vote equals... No, okay. I see what I did. Can vote equals... I was right. Equals space age greater than or equal to 18. So I was missing the word age there. Okay. So we have let can vote equals, and not just age, voting age. So let can vote equals voting age greater than or equal to 18 question mark. Yes, you can vote, colon, no, you are not old enough, you're too young to vote. So then I could go down here and say print, parentheses, not double quote, parentheses, can vote, because we're just printing out the variable. We don't need to do string interpolation or any of that stuff. Okay, so it says you yes, you can vote. So, but if I go up here to the let and I have let voting age equals 20 and I change that to 14, then it's going to rerun the program. You are too young to vote. So that's using a conditional without using a if statement or a switch. We did it all in one line. Okay, we got through all the material I really wanted to get through today. We went through a lot of stuff. We got 7 minutes. Any questions?
All right. As of right now, I'm not finding any hands at the top of the screen. Now we have one, Fenton.
With all these options, what's the best way to choose which to use
For
for conditional statements?
conditionals? You know, I typically stick with an if and else if. I would always make sure to put an else on the end to be exhaustive on your if statements, but I typically stick with an if. It's what I'm used to. Swift UI, though, apparently uses a lot of the ternary operator, so it's good to learn that as well.
It's ternary operator for like a either or situation only. Can it be multiple? Like similar to a switch or case?
I have not tried to see if a ternary can do multiple. Yeah, I believe it is a true or false if the condition is met kind of situation. but we'll find out as we go through the class.
And real quickly, you mentioned that we could use a breakpoint to find things out in Playground. How do you use that?
Let's see. In your playgrounds, I know that you can add a breakpoint in by clicking you know what? I'm not sure that there is a debug menu. I know that. And there's breakpoints in the menu there. They are not highlighted. Can you not in a playground? I don't know that you can. Interesting.
Yeah, that's okay. Thanks.
Yeah. You definitely can with building an app, for sure. Okay.
All right. And right now, there's no one else with their hand up.
All right. Folks, we've gone over a lot of content. This has been a great class. We will not, I repeat, not have class next week. We will be letting people catch up. We've already gone through a lot of material. We will be grading assignments, grading quizzes. There will be a quiz and an assignment for this class, along with there already is one up for last time. We will reconvene back in November for the next class. It's going to be some great materials. We'll start on functions next time. Really excited about that. So again, oh, we got a hand.
Yes, you do. So that's iPad. I'm not sure who iPad is. So if you can state your name in addition to asking your questions, would be probably good.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Good. Hello.
I'm Dijesh from India.
Hi, Dijesh.
I'm extremely sorry for your inconvenience. Actually, I did get my Mac yesterday.
Oh,
Day
good.
before yesterday.
Great.
That's a good Mac. Fortunately, I'm very happy, but I have to start from the scratch. So can you tell me from App Store I can download Xcode?
Yes, you can get Xcode from the App Store. Yes.
So I think I can hear some of your session from the YouTube, and I can also use your office hours. Am I right?
That's correct. And Taylor will have those on Saturday.
So next office hour is on Saturday. Am I right?
On Saturday, yes.
Okay. From what time to what time?
10 o'clock Central to 3 o'clock Central time, US.
Okay. So I will be online at that time. And do you have any tutorials for VoiceOver, new Tahoe, new operating system or something like that in your website?
We do not, but there's a lot of places online that do.
Yeah.
There is Blind Information Technology Specialists, has a lot of archives where they talk about VoiceOver for Mac, and
Okay.
iBook Today is another good resource.
iBook Today is a good resources. Okay. And actually, I had a gap in this operating system. This is my new Mac. I had an old Mac. It was not supporting Tahoe and other OS. So no problem. I will familiar with it myself. So I appreciate. So tomorrow I will compensate the class with your office hours, and I also used to listen to your YouTube class. I hope I can.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Again, we will not have class next Thursday for people to catch up, and we will be back with you all in November. Thanks, everybody, and we'll have materials up on the classroom very shortly.